Good evening. Huge movie fanatic Nate coming at you with from Transylvania with yet again another movie and slash Blu-ray. I don't know what this accent is turning into. Review for, I guess it's like called Argento's Dracula 3D. Now, I had only become, first we'll do the movie review and then we'll get on to the Blu-ray review. I had only become aware of that movie just Best Buy. I go there every now and then, I go in there to see what sales. Back in the old days I used to remember, like, I don't know, looking forward to the new sale, the new sale flyer every week, and now I go there and look at the sales flyer every week and there's like nothing in it. So times change. But the way I became aware of this movie at all was just every now and then I go to Best Buy and frequent the Blu-ray section. Of course, the ever-shrinking physical media section and the ever-shrinking horror section. And pretty sad, I buy the majority of my movies and basically all my CDs, I still buy CDs, online now because you can't even go to a store and buy the kind of music I buy, the punk rock, obscure stuff anymore. Although I did get True North at Best Buy on release day, so. But a lot of other stuff. Anyway, I'm reminiscing about the ever-shrinking, physical media section at Best Buy. So I think this is basically a Blu-ray 3D, of course, that was regularly priced at $14.99. I think this had been on sale before at Best Buy, and I was in there yesterday, and it was on sale for something, $10 or $11.99, and I'm like, I've been looking at, it's just like the third, fourth, fifth, sixth time I've walked by it wondering about it, and I'm just like, God damn it, I just gotta, for $11 or $12 I can quell my curiosity, which is most likely, I know the answer to it, which is it any good, is it worth anything, what's the 3D Blu-ray like in terms of 3D quality, which will of course come later. So first things first, I got it last night and watched it last night, and oh, I guess before I get on to the review very briefly, I will say that in '95 I became a huge Dario Argento fan, and was trying to search out, back in the day before like internet was huge. I mean, I didn't get internet until later on, so I didn't have it in '95, but I wasn't even really aware of it. But before internet, I mean, you'd have to, the only way to find stuff it sucked. It was to go to video stores, local video stores, and hope that they had stuff. So I was able to see Suspiria and Deep Red and stuff like that. So a few Dario Argento movies, and over the years I'd search out more. So long story short, I mean, in my opinion, Dario Argento in his early days was a master, and one of the leading, young and up and coming, just, Italian horror directors there was, and he was huge. Stuff like, Suspiria and Deep Red, and even, which I reviewed Deep Red last fall, and I've also reviewed Creepers, Phenomena / Creepers, and stuff like that. And I can't remember, Bird with a Crystal Plumage, and I don't think I've seen Four Flies on Grey Velvet. But in the old days, early days, 70s and even the 80s, he was great. And in my estimation, what kind of happened for him, in my opinion, is like he started like Orson Welles in a lot of ways, like at the top. Not that his first movie was his best, but as the decades went on, and this is how I look at it. If you disagree, that's fine, and entirely you're right. But for me, as the decades went on in regards to Argento, it became less and less great. Like the 70s are just like the quintessential, Deep Red and Suspiria. 80s, it had some cool stuff. Phenomenon is okay. It's kind of cool, whatever. It's still got some of that Dario Argento-ness in it. As a matter of fact, actually, late 80s was opera, which I kind of like. I like it. But once it gets into the 90s and stuff, it's just like, oh, late, and then late 90s, and then I can't remember when he did that atrocious, which I have on DVD, Phantom of the Opera. That's pretty much for me when he really started to, I don't think he's made anything good after that, Phantom of the Opera. I haven't seen a lot of it. I think the only one I've seen after that was Hitchcock, which I have on DVD, but I bought really cheap. So I haven't been by any stretch of the imagination following what he's been doing since, Phantom of the Opera, because I figured, well, he had a good run and now he's just making garbly-gook, and Argento's Dracula 3D definitely falls into the garbly-gook category. I would give this movie, I don't even know why I'd give it 1 star. To be honest, I guess I like some of the... Jesus, it might not even be worth 1 star. I think I'm just going to go with 1 star because, Jesus, I don't know why. I mean, there's this one girl at the beginning who, we follow. At the beginning, we get to see go have sex, and then she gets turned into what would become one of Dracula's, well, she's the only one, like, and some of the other movies I've seen, like especially, Francis Ford Coppola or whatever the hell his name is, I think there's 3 of them women, them Dracula's women or whatever, that seduce Keanu Reeves. Like in this, and even like the original, I think there's more than 1 of those or something, I don't know. But in this is just the one, and we see at the beginning of the movie her go have sex, which is, man, she's pretty good, good looking, if you know what I mean. Can't put a clip of it on here, I'm afraid, but you can imagine. So I guess maybe a lot of the 1 star is just her body, and particularly her top front portion or something. I don't know. As much male chauvinism, paganism as that might be, of course, like so many post 90s and 90s and post 90s Dario Argento movie, it features his daughter Asia Argento, who was also featured in some American movies in the day, like Triple X and Land of the Dead, I think, right? Land of the Dead? Am I correct in that? So anyway, and of course, the first movie, Argento movie, I think, that she was in, which was Trauma, which was actually made in the Twin Cities. And what's kind of creepy, of course, they're European, so they're a little more free society or whatever, and not so sensitive about stuff. What's kind of creepy is that especially not in all. I don't think she shows skin in all of her dad's movies, but Trauma, she's briefly seen topless, and she's briefly seen topless in Dracula 3D, and I'm not a professional breast man, but it's just like a hobby. I'm an amateur breast man, but from what I can tell, she may have had some augmentation since Trauma, just to keep them from sagging, possibly. So, that's always weird when I see her, like, here she is in Daddy's movie taking a bath. She's like being bathed by. She plays in this movie. What the hell's her name? Lucy, and she's being bathed by. What's Jonathan Harker's wife's name? Mina, I think, or something like that. So anyway, let's just get this review over with. This movie is ludicrous and maybe not even worth 1 star. The only reason I'd give it 1 star is because I guess breasts and some rather, interesting. For my money, there could have been more exterior, like night woods stuff, and footage and stuff. But that stuff, the exterior night woods stuff, was kind of. I kind of liked how it was lit, even though obviously it's all digital, and I don't like how the movie looks in general because of that over-digitalness about it. But I really don't know if I have much to say about it. I mean, it's basically the story of Dracula told in the most boring, different way that you can imagine. I mean, Dracula, with horrible CD versions of Dracula, being a wolf and CG morphing back into Dracula, and there's even a point where this guy's standing guard, like Lucy's dad, sitting guard actually outside a room or whatever, and this damn frickin' shadow of a is this like a praying mantis or something like that? I'm not a bug enthusiast, so I don't know. But anyway, I think it's like a praying mantis or a mantis thing. This big, huge... So Dracula takes the shape of a big, huge praying mantis, like the size of an elephant in this movie, and walks up the stairs and comes at the old guy and like shoves his mantis, whatever it is, mantis arm through him, and excuse me very much. And it's just like, obviously it's just a CG mantis, and it just moves to, it's just, you just roll your eyes, and you just have to, you just wonder how Argento ever went from being like the auteur he was with Deep Red and Suspiria, and ending up doing stuff like this. In my opinion, you're better off just, quitting while you're ahead than doing this kind of stuff. I don't understand it. The movie is so boring. Like, the performances were so, from everyone, were so boring. It was just a boring movie. And Rutger Hauer shows up in it, the last third of the movie. He is Van Helsing. And I was like, oh man, Rutger Hauer's not showing up forever. They're going to have this cool intro. And his intro is just like, I think he just walks into the scene and says, I am whoever Van Helsing. And it's just like, it's like they made this whole movie at like 4 a.m. every day, like, and no one had any sleep the day before. And everyone is just... There's like no energy in this movie at all. There's nothing good about it except breasts, I guess maybe that's what we'll say, 1 star for it. On to the review of the Blu-ray. Now, if you like digital looking, crisp digital movies, you'll love it. I, of course, watched the 3D version last night. And my particular setup has been known to have some, depending on what the movie is, have some ghosting if you got scenes that are really dark and stuff. I'm happy to report for me that the ghosting was fairly minimal. If I didn't really even necessarily notice any at all, because I guess mostly because the movie was even in dark scenes was very bright, so there wasn't a lot of that shadowish stuff for ghosting on my setup anyway to really appear. When I watched it in 3D, I was very apparent of like, it's almost like Argento didn't even know he was shooting in 3D. It comes across like that because the 3D is barely utilized whatsoever at all. There's some couple shots that, in the exterior in the day in the woods and stuff where the leaves will be like, oh cool, just accidentally, pop out in front into this, in front of the TV a little bit, and it's kind of like Amazing Spider-Man where it's like very, very muted 3D, and there's maybe 1, 2, or 3 moments where it's like at the camera, like the praying mantis will come up the stairs and way too quickly before you even, it's done before you even know, but it happens way too quick, and shoots his little praying mantis arm towards the camera maybe. And so there isn't, for a movie like this, I would embrace, the whole thing with the 3D lately in the, the 21st century 3D is all about the, oh, we want to stop doing this gimmicky shit, and it's just like, well, what's the point of filming in 3D if you're, especially a movie like this, Dracula 3D, I mean, come on, there wasn't, so for my, in my opinion, or for my taste, a movie that is already kind of schlock crap anyway, might as well just make use of 3D and, point some stuff at the camera a little more. But, they did it a little. Like I say, if you like the overly digital look of movies, you'll love it. The 3D is there. It is there, and if you like subtle 3D, you'll love it. Because, I mean, it is a 3D where it's like, just scenes, where like, there's a particular scene towards the end where like the candles are set around whatever it's called, a sarcophagus or whatever, and then there's one right here way in the foreground, and it's like, that shot held for a little while, and it's like, I'm just sitting there enjoying 3D. The most enjoyable thing about this movie is that occasionally some things were you could just see depth. That was the only thing. If I had watched this in if I watched this in 2D, there'd be like nothing enjoyable or slightly even entertaining about this movie. So, you know, Dracula's woman is kind of attractive and hot and stuff, and you get to see her have sex before she gets turned into Dracula's woman. You see Asia Argento's, which is Dario Argento's daughter's, possibly, most likely, slightly enhanced breasticles in this movie as well. 1 star, and like I say, I don't even know why. The guy who was formerly a part of Goblin, who did the music for Deep Red and Suspiria, Claudio Simonetti, if I'm saying that right. If I'm not, you get the drift. Did the music, and some of it's kind of cool, some of it's not. So there you are, Argento's Dracula 3D, 1 star. Thanks very much for for watching.